Have you ever been so excited about something that maybe, just maybe, you didn't put enough thought into it before you jumped right in? It's kind of the story of my life, but I remember one winter, it was a long one, and I just kept thinking about getting out in a little fishing boat out in the lake all winter. That's all I could think about. And so the sun came out again in the spring, and it got warm, and before I could really think much about it, I'm pushing that boat down into the lake, and now I'm in it, and it was just glorious. Oh, the lake was beautiful, and suddenly I felt this cold sensation, and I looked down, and the water was about this high in the boat, and there was just about this much more water in the lake than there was in the boat. I mean, I'm sinking here, and fortunately I get myself back into the shore, and I realized that I forgot to put that little plug that goes in the back of the boat back in there before I stuck the boat in the lake. And you know, quite frankly, folks, I've seen teachers forget to put the plug in the boat before they launched it when it comes to recovery, and they got themselves a little bit of trouble. And so this is a skill where we really want to be thinking ahead of time what might go wrong. We call that plugging the holes before you launch the boat, right? And the first question that's helpful to ask is, what's the goal of recovery?
And the goal again is to what? Maintain the teaching environment.
How about punish the kid?
No.
No. How about do therapy with the kid?
No.
How about
get even with him?
Oh, well.
Teach him a lesson.
Sometimes we fantasize about that, but that's not the goal. And it's not the goal of recovery to get the kid to do the papers. The goal isn't even to help the kid. The goal, again, is to preserve the learning environment. Another question we have to ask ourselves is, where can they go? And I think you did a pretty good job of talking about
yeah, we
that.
had a trip to the beach. We had in other classrooms. Sometimes you'll find in a school where it's new, maybe just 3 or 4 teachers have gotten together and they say, you know, we're going to do this for us and let the rest of the people flounder. We're going to do it for us. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to have the whole school using it, right?
Yeah.
Another question we ought to ask ourselves is, when do they go? How about when they forget their pencil?
What if, no, of course not.
Oh.
What if they haven't turned in their homework?
No. How about if they just look like they have a bad attitude? No.
Walk into the classroom with an attitude? I thought you were supposed to go immediately to the in-school suspension.
There's 2 conditions that we look for. First of all, they need to be causing a problem for other people, right? And the second is, we ask ourselves, have I documented all the positive things I'm doing on behalf of the student to prevent him from having to leave? Right? And I really encourage all of you to have a piece of paper. If you have a difficult student and you're just writing down all the positive things you're doing. I have them in a special seat that's closer to me so I can teach closer to them. I'm building a relationship with the kid. I'm using some choices. I've worked with the kid on some of their academic struggles so they don't feel like they have to get out of class because they feel stupid. Just list those things so that if anybody ever says, hey, you know, you just kicked my kid out of class, you know, you don't care, you could say, well, glad you asked me about that. Here's a list of the things I'm doing. You know, what can we add to that? Add to that list. Another question is how do we send them?
Yeah. Are we going to talk to the child across the room where other kids can hear it? Are we going to whisper in his ear? Sure. Are we going to give him some choices? Can you get yourself together? Or do you think you need a little recovery time? What do you think?
I kind of think of it, you talk to the kid in the same way you would want your spouse to talk to you if you were out in public and maybe your fly was down or you had something stuck in your teeth. You know, you wouldn't want them to say it really loud, okay? So one of the questions is, like, well, what do they do there?
What do they do there?
Yeah.
Do their schoolwork? No. Get themselves back together?
Yeah.
One little point. Sometimes when you have a child in special education, there might be something in the law that indicates you be wise to say to him, do you think you want to take your work with you so that he has that option?
Has access to learning. Absolutely. Another question is, well, what, again, along this whole line of what do they do there? I mean, shouldn't they get counseling, or shouldn't we have somebody there that would talk some sense into the kid, or?
There's a good time for counseling. I'm a strong believer in counseling. And the counseling should go on when? When the kid is in the emotional state or the thinking state. So should it go on during this period of time? No.
Yeah.
But could it go on later in the day? Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really hard to do therapy with a brainstem. They don't respond very well.
I haven't learned how to reason with a drunk either, and I think it's very similar, isn't it?
Right, yeah. Some teachers ask, well, how do we know that the kid got there? And my response is kind of like the kid's response. I don't know. But I bet that if you get a bunch of teachers together and you think about these questions, you'll be able to plug these holes. And that's really the purpose of what we're doing here, is to kind of model this whole process of how you might get together with another person, another educator, and say, what might go wrong, and you plug those holes so that you don't get out in the lake and look down and realize that the boat's full of water and you're just about ready to get sunk.
Do any of you have friends who'd be happy to tell you what's wrong with your thinking? Yeah. So those are the real friends who'd say, yeah, but what if he says this? Yeah, but what if he does that? What if?
Oh, yeah. The one question is, what do you do if the kid won't go?
Oh,
do you ever worry about that? Yeah. You just tune in. Later on in this program, same station, same channel. You're going to hear about that from this guy right here. Yeah.